If nature teaches us anything, it is that life is meant to work, and that like every living thing, our purpose is to thrive. And yet, for the majority of people on the planet, life is not about thriving. It's about surviving, just trying to hang on. Is this really the best we can do? Did the universe labor for nearly 14 billion years only to bring forth a species that would end up as an enemy to life itself and to its own home? I don't think so. My name is Foster Gamble, and I have spent nearly a lifetime trying to figure out what happened. What is happening that could account for the staggering agony and deprivation on this planet? As a young man, driven by the misery I saw and by my fear for our survival, I set out on a journey, seeking to answer questions like, is it even possible for humans to thrive? If so, why aren't we? How far will these forces go to make a profit? Would they actually suppress cures for diseases the way they've suppressed free energy technology? Sadly, my research has shown me the answer is yes.
It was really hard for me to consider that someone might actually be suppressing cures. And cancer has run through my family like a raging river. I found out that it's all about patents. If a pharmaceutical company can patent and make money from treatment, especially one that we have to keep on using, then that's what we get. Otherwise, we don't even hear about it. There's a multi-trillion-dollar financial incentive to suppress cures that can't be patented. Knowing that cures exist has not taken away the anguish I feel from losing so many people I love to cancer. It's given me something really satisfying to do with the pain. And I believe when we take the love and devotion that we have for everyone who's died and who will die unnecessarily, and direct it to developing and getting these cures out to people who need them, we can break this cancer legacy and heal.
This is 2.5-year-old Cash Hyde. He's battled a brain tumor and won. Cash is one of the state's youngest medical cannabis patients.
I believe that, Cash is with us for a lot of reasons. He is a patient of medical cannabis, which is, I think, greatly benefited his battle.
Cash's parents were there every step through his battle and watched as drugs prescribed by his doctors made him hallucinate and even stop his heart.
I watched Cashy not be able to eat for over 40 days to the point where he couldn't lift his head up off his pillow. I realized along the way in this journey that there is a quality of life that a lot of people do not have.
It's truly amazing the number of conditions that respond favorably to cannabis.
It heals in any circumstance with any condition. We're looking at an unexcelled wonder plant, herbal medicine that has no comparison.
Cannabis is found in every major materia medica that has ever been written. It was included in the United States Pharmacopoeia from 1854 until 1941. The founder of modern medicine is a physician named Sir William Osler, who was prominent around the turn of the 19th to the 20th century. He wrote the first textbook of internal medicine, and in that textbook he said that cannabis was the most effective medication for the treatment of migraine headaches. The first modern research that was done on cannabis was done in 1949 that demonstrated its usefulness in treating epilepsy. I have a number of people who don't have epilepsy when they use cannabis regularly.
Cannabis is remarkably well suited to our anatomy and physiology, even in the event one smokes it.
Marijuana was widely used in the 19th century for the treatment of asthma. And in the 1970s, we found that marijuana has a bronchodilator effect. It's because of the THC in marijuana. What is the evidence that marijuana smoking, habitual marijuana smoking, can lead to lung cancer? With respect to the development of lung cancer, we found no evidence of any increased risk of lung cancer occurrence in association with marijuana smoking alone. The THC actually has an anti-tumoral effect. And these are studies that were done both in experimental animals and in cell culture systems, and for different kinds of cancer. For lung cancer, breast cancer, thyroid cancer, prostate cancer, gliomas, brain cancer, that the development and growth, or the growth actually of the tumor is suppressed by THC, and metastases are also suppressed.
There was a study done on AIDS patients by Dr. Donald Abrams of UCSF to specifically determine whether or not the use of cannabis had an adverse effect on AIDS patients. And rather than finding that it had an adverse effect, he found that it had a favorable effect and that it counteracted AIDS wasting syndrome. Cannabis is useful in relieving people's pain. People are able to decrease the amount of opiates that they're taking, and in some instances to stop taking opiates entirely for pain control.
Antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, smooth muscle relaxant. It's also an antispasmodic.
It's particularly effective in relieving pain from connective tissue disorders, from arthritis, from fibromyalgia, from systemic lupus, from reflex sympathetic dystrophy, a whole host of conditions that we don't really understand very well. People seem to get good relief from cannabis.
From a medical viewpoint, cannabis has no overdose potential.
It's helpful in dealing with the anxiety of people that have Alzheimer's disease. It's helpful in dealing with the muscle spasms that are associated with Parkinson's disease.
Cannabis has an unexcelled record in terms of providing safe and effective sleep.
We did a little study of people with Crohn's disease and found that many of them were able to stop using steroids and stop using other medications that they had taken for their Crohn's, that they had less diarrhea, they had less abdominal pain. It was a true miracle for them.
Here you have a substance that makes you feel better, has no overdose potential, returns you to your cognitive level of functioning.
We've got 15,000 studies that have been done, both basic science and clinical studies, that have demonstrated over and over again the medicinal value.
My name is Foster Gamble. I grew up in a world of privilege and power, attending elite private schools and then Princeton University. As a direct descendant of one of the founders of Procter & Gamble, I was groomed to be a leader in the establishment.
What we have now seen is leaders come together and establish a framework for global governance, not a world government, but sensible governance. If these measures are enacted and we continue to move forward with the G20 process, we will have the kind of global governance that is necessary to ensure the stability and transparency of markets. And to the extent we now have a truly globalized economy, we need some semblance of global governance. You know, we're not talking about world government. I don't think anybody's going to come in and say we're prepared to surrender our sovereignty to the G20 or some other body. I know some people don't like it. It's a loss of national sovereignty, but it is a simple reality. It is a simple reality that we are in a global economy. I don't think anybody's going to come in and say we're prepared to surrender our sovereignty. I know some people don't like it. It's a loss of national sovereignty.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives' war on drugs bill is not tough on crime, it's dumb on crime. Yeah. A young person with 6 pot plants would be treated the same way as a mob boss.
I believe that having a clear picture of our potential is as important as uncovering what stands in its way.